how do you make someone believe in you?
If you have belief in yourself, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person.
This is Loren Ridinger, co-founder of multi-billion-dollar e-commerce empire Shop.com. Today, I had the pleasure of interviewing Loren and asked her how she went from $25 a week for her food.
We were borrowing macaroni and cheese from my parents, borrowing money and food from my mom, $25 a week for food. But most people aren't willing to do that.
To then building this massive e-commerce brand. She talked about how she started with nothing and didn't even go to college.
My husband and I never raised any money. We didn't have any money either. I think we just did it through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
To also talking about the mindset and secrets needed to build a massive company just like Shop.com.
It's the voice inside yourself that tells you can do it, but we don't listen to them. So that one voice is just enough.
The value in this interview is worth billions of dollars, but you get to learn from it for free. So enjoy the interview. You know, I watch a lot of your interviews. I watched, I think, like 8 to 10 hours of your content from a lot of your speeches that you did. A lot of your speeches that you did, you know, Shop.com, a lot of the speeches that you did in various different places all over the world. And, you know, you were sharing your story of you getting started with Shop.com and, you know, now it's a multi-billion-dollar company, but didn't start like that. Obviously, it started, you know, I want to share a particular story, which this is what like really inspired me. I think it will inspire, you know, a lot of the people that are young that are listening. Is you had no money when you were started, and more than that, I think you mentioned that a friend had offered you $50,000, but you didn't take it as well.
Yeah, we didn't take it. We didn't want it. We just did it on our own. My husband and I never raised any money. We didn't have any money either. I think we just did it through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It was just relentless hard work, proving to each other that we could do it. That was really important to us, you know, to be able to do it on our own. We all kind of bit the bullet and said, you know, we're not going to take a payroll check for a long time. You know, my brother came to work for us, who's now, of course, both of them did. One of them's currently the president of Shop.com. The other one's the president of Market America. Mark is also the chief operating officer. So all my brothers, my sister came to work. Nobody was getting paid. It was more about, you know, making sure that we put in the time and the effort for the people. And we knew that if we did that, that one day we'd have a payday. And of course, back then, you know, we're talking about the internet, right? 92. Nobody knew what the internet was really. It was just the World Wide Web. You know, it was kind of a joke, right? You know, most people didn't have computers. They went to libraries, which most young people don't go to libraries anymore. You know, it's interesting. And when I think about the journey we've been on, it's been really remarkable. My girlfriend was talking to me. My friend was talking to me about it the other day. She was like, what would you do if you think about it now? Like, can you believe all this happened? What were the big, you know, the hard moments, the trials? And I was thinking about just getting anybody to believe us when we would talk about that one day we would buy anything we wanted online.
I often say I don't remember, I don't know if I got this from somewhere or read it from a book, but I often say the disbelief in others instills the belief in yourself. And that's kind of what you need. And especially, you know, I actually wanted to get to that in the next question because you started ironically the same year that Amazon was founded. And, you know, back then, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know. I was born in 2005, but I'm assuming that back then, if you were to say, hey, you know, we're going to be buying and selling everything that you have right now online, everybody was looking at you like, yeah.
Oh no, wait, there was more people who didn't believe than believed. You know what I mean? Like most people didn't believe at all in anything we were doing, including, you know, your extended family, your people who, you know, live with you, who see you. You know, there's some people, like I remember that, you know, my aunt and uncle and some of those people, my cousins, even some of them that came to me later and said, oh, we didn't know that you guys were doing this. I was like, no, I tried to tell you. Just weren't listening. You know, I try to get you involved. And you know, we knew it would be big. I think it's just it's all about the belief factor for us. You know, it's all about if you believe that you can do it, you can. And if you're gonna make it happen, you have to rely on yourself. You got to stop relying on so many other people. So many people are expecting everybody else to do it for them. I actually do the job of 25 people a day. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I just do the job of 25 people a day because 25 people a day generally won't do their job that you're paying them to do. But if you do it and you show up and you act different, you can have it all. because you'll know how to do all of it.
It's an interesting take. So let me ask you, how much money did you start with shop.com? Because if you didn't take the
Nothing.
50,000 from
Nothing. We did it by selling products. It's funny. She asked me that. My friend asked me that the other day. We didn't. What we did was we knocked on a lot of doors and sold a lot of product to get money, immediate money in our pocket, so we could keep growing the business. We had to go over to, we had to barter a lot. We'd tell people like, listen, if you let us sell your products online and you trust us to sell your product online, we'll pay you $5 more per bottle after we sell it. You know, like we needed people to take believe in us, to take, we were willing to up the ante and pay more if people bit the bullet and just said, you know what, we're going to take a chance on these people. And so it was hard to get people to sell us products. It would be like, hey, we want to sell your vitamins online. And they were like, there is no online. Nobody's buying things online. Who's selling anything online? But we did it.
I think the big thing that I'm taking from everything that you're saying is the belief, like belief in everything. I think selling is just an exchange of belief, meaning like the original people that brought into the vision, you had to sell them that, hey, look, just believe in us, believe in not just us, but the future of where this is going. How do you sell the belief to somebody and with something that's like, it's never been done? There's no proof of it. Like, how do you make someone believe in you?
First of all, you got to have belief in yourself. Without that, it's not going to exist. If you have belief in yourself, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. And you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. And so it's all about belief. If you believe in yourself, if you are counting on you, if you know you're going to make it happen, then no matter what you say wrong to the right person, they're going to believe in you. They're going to go for it. They're going to say, you know what? This guy believes in himself so much. Jacob's going to make sure he gets that interview. He's not going to stop until he gets it. Look at you. You didn't stop. You've been going at me for 6 months. Hmm. When you believe in yourself enough, you're going to get it. That's why you got me. Hmm. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't, but it does stem from your own belief. And you kept coming in like, oh, I want to do this. Please let me do this. Let me show you this other video. I didn't know you at first, but then Eric, you were like, let me show you this video I did with this one. Let me show you. I didn't even look at them. I just liked how you handled yourself. When you handle yourself with that type of belief in who you are, nothing can stop you. I did no different than you did, to be honest with you. It's just I went after, more things, bigger things, right? All right, let me mute that. I just went after bigger things. The sky's just the view for us, right? We can have whatever we want. It's just what you're willing to do to get it.
What's also fascinating and admirable is that you and JR actually had this idea and started when you were 18 years old. So it wasn't like just to put perspective to, everybody that is watching.
That's a long time ago.
Well, I don't know, not that long ago. It's not that long ago, but it just 18 years old to have an idea like this is like insane. And I think for a lot of people that are watching that are young from the 18 to 25 range, which is the people that I look to target in every interview that I do, I would say that there is no age requirement. Like there is no age requirement. And
there isn't. But I'll tell you, it wasn't always. When I started out with JR when I was 18, it took one person believing in me. And he had said to me, I can't remember if I shared this with you at FIU or not, but he had said to me when he told me in 92, he had told me in 1990 and 91, but we didn't really officially start our business till 92. But he had said, Loren, one day people are going to shop online. You're going to see, they're going to buy everything they want and need. And in the early days, I wasn't sure. I'm 18, like we go to the stores, we try on our shoes, we see if we like them. We go to the stores, we try on our makeup to see if we like our makeup. So it seemed amazing, but, we didn't have computers at home. And so when he said that to me and he would start to tell other people that in meetings, and they would look at him with a funny look. They would look at him like, is this guy crazy? Like, we don't really believe in him. And so he'd come out of the meeting, 5, 6 people, And he would say like, wow, that was a great meeting, wasn't it? I was like, was it? Did they look like they were confused? Because Lauren, it doesn't matter what they think. What matters is what you think. What do you believe? What do you think? And that was a game-changing point in my life. It was a point in my life where I had to put blinders on at 18 and say, you know what? Let me block out the rest of the world, the rest of the noise. Don't worry about if they get it or not. They may not. The reason why that only the small 1% are successful, really, truly successful, is because 99% of the people will be naysayers and won't believe in it anyway. Doesn't matter what they think. What matters is what Jacob wants. What matters what I want. What matters is what your viewers want, right? It's how bad do they want it? How bad did you want to make your interviews happen when you first started? You know, it started because you started.
Yeah.
You never started. Most people, the problem is, Jacob, most people won't even start what you're doing.
So
They say they
question.
want to do it, but they won't.
I'm interested on your take on this because, like I said, you started at 18 and you went all in from the get go, right? Like there was no, hey, I'm going to do a part time. Do you advise somebody like to now, like today, in today's age, that same age, 18, 19, 20, 25, and they have an idea, they have a vision. Do they go all in on that and just drop their job, drop school, or is it kind of like go all in on that? Maybe not all in, but keep the job, make the money there, stay in
Well,
school.
sometimes you have to have a side hustle to keep
Right.
money flowing in, of course. So it really depends what the situation is. You know, sometimes you got to feed kids and put food on your table, and I get all that. You know, we didn't have any children. We were borrowing macaroni and cheese from my parents. You know, buying
Wow.
going to Wendy's on Wednesdays. They had a big super bar. That was our big date. Was the super bar at Wendy's, borrowing money and food from my mom, $25 a week for food. But most people aren't willing to do that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know many people who are willing to do that because that requires far too much work, right? That requires, like, wow, I don't want to have to sacrifice that much. Success requires full sacrifice, full submission to whatever the sacrifice is. You know what I mean? You have to fully give in to whatever you have to do. And for me, uh, it took JR telling me at that moment, it doesn't matter what people think. It matters what you think, Lauren. If you really believe it'll happen, it will. If you go all in with blinders, it will. And so what I did is I just went all in with blinders and I did it and that made it work. But also, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I remember while we were out speaking, the first time I spoke, I fainted and I
What?
was scared to death.
The first time you
Seven,
spoke, you fainted, like on stage or it was backstage?
well, it was 7 people there. It wasn't like the meetings I do today
Oh,
with
okay.
thousands of people. So
Okay.
our first meeting talking about the internet, because he said to me, all that matters is what you think. So he goes, you do the next meeting. Well, when he said that, I was traumatized. I was scared. He wanted to put me out there. Like, if you really believe, you'll show me. You'll do it. So when I got up there, the first time I spoke, I passed out. I fainted. It was awful. I was a mess. Okay. I was a mess. And then after I fainted, I remember I woke up and all these people are looking down at me, these 7 people. And he's like, get up, get up. You were great. The air conditioning was off. It was hot. You were incredible. I was like, well, I wasn't incredible. I only said my name and I passed out. He goes, yeah, but you would have been great. You're going to be better tomorrow. You know, he didn't get in the car and say, you know what? You're not a good speaker, Lauren. Stick to driving, carrying my boxes, set up the product display, show people what people will buy online, you know, have conversations after the meeting. He said, get back up and do it again. He had enough belief in me for me to not question myself, for me not to say how, because I was already saying how awful I was. I was trying to figure out a way to break up with this boyfriend of mine. Like, how do I break up with this crazy guy who wants me to speak when I just fainted the night before? And so I think what happens is that when somebody instills that type of belief in you, you start to realize that you can do anything. And
Wow.
oftentimes I realize that it's the voice inside yourself that tells you can do it, but we don't listen to him. So that one voice is just enough.
Wow. I that's an it's it's beyond powerful because not a lot of people have that JR, that person that believes in them. But the way
But
that
we
you
all have the voice in our head, like,
exactly,
that little whisper in our head. And I
exactly.
talked about this just on stage recently. We all have two voices. That one that says, oh, just stick to what you're doing, stay with the job, work 45 years for somebody else's success. Or that little voice that's so faint that we don't often hear, but it's there. We just don't listen to it. That comes up from behind us and sneaks up and says, why don't you do it? Why don't you just go for it? Why don't you prove that you're different? Why don't you prove that you're the one? Why don't you realize that you're unique? You're the different one. You're the one who's different than everybody else, that you're made for this. That's the voice that I'm talking about that exists in all of us. So certainly, JR helped me see it in myself. But then when I think about it, JR has so many times while he was alive told me I was the one who gave him that. And so, really, that voice exists inside of us, inside of our own head, and it's there. And it's what caused you to keep fighting for the interviews. It's for what gets you up every day to do your interviews, to fight for who you want to talk to. It's that voice that says, hey, Jacob, you can do this. It's why you do it.
100%. And you mentioned something that, you know, it your dream, your vision, the thing that you have, the tick, that hey, you're different, do this. It requires submissional sacrifice. Like you have to be all in on that. Now, the way this is, I think there's different motives for everybody as to why they do something, but does your motive for something and the belief in you have to be more than you? Because the reason why I ask this is because I feel like a lot of people my age, obviously one of the main motives is to make a large amount of money and, scale their business and grow their so many different things. But I think when you put a monetary goal like that, it caps you because once you get there, it's like, what's going to
Can't.
keep that tenacity,
You can't. You can't. The why can never be about money. The why can't be about money. The why has to do something to help serve other people. That's why I like what you do. You're doing this not for you. You're doing it for the what you're going to get and what your viewers are going to get out of this. How can you serve other people, right? How can you give back to your viewers? Will you give them information that might be the one thing that he says or the one thing that she says that causes them to get it, that causes that, as my husband used to say to me, that billionth of a volt to go off in your mind to say, oh my God, I got it, right? Your why has to have something to do with helping others, just serving other people, because money is never, if money is your only goal, you'll never get it. It'll never happen. You may get it, but you'll never be satisfied with it. It'll never be enough for you. There's got to be more to the goal than money. It always was. Jerry used to say, money is not our goal. That's a scoreboard for people. It's not really what we need. What we need is to have some way of knowing how we've helped other people, to serve other people. Otherwise, what's the point in living? What's the goal behind it? Why do you do what you do? The only reason that Jacob can do what he does is if you weren't putting this out to the broadcast, it's wonderful. You're collecting all this information for yourself, but what are you doing for others? You're serving others by sharing it. The goal has got to include other people. Otherwise, it's not really a goal. It doesn't matter. It won't be fulfilling. It won't be a purpose. It won't be a true why. A why is not money. A why is the purpose that's got to include others.
Wow, the why has to include others.
It has to.
I'm writing that down because that's that's extremely powerful for people my age, for anybody that is watching, because it's very easy to get stuck in the day to day. And there's many. The beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, the beautiful thing about having a vision and going after that is that you never know what the day brings. And oftentimes, there's a lot of days where it's like, do I really want to do this? Like, why am I doing this? I'm drained. Nobody's responding to me. This person, that there's so many, external things that you could say. Why am I keep pushing? Like, why am I pushing? And
100%.
finding that deeper why, like you said, I think is a solution to all those days, because those are the days that make someone great. Those are the days that makes $1 billion company. Those are the days that make somebody, that 1%, is what they do on those days.
100%. You're right. And here's the thing. It's like I said this at my conference that we just had last week.
Yeah.
It's not what happens at the meeting with me. It's not what I say on stage. It's not you getting excited like, yes, I love what she's saying. It's what you're going to do when you go home. It's what happens in between the meeting. It's what happens when you're on your alone time. It's what happens when you're by yourself. What do you do then? The problem is that's when most people stop. That's when most people have to go. Most people aren't, they're willing to show up at my meeting like, oh yeah, rah, 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 rah. That's not what it's about. It's what happens when they go home. What happens the best meetings are what happens in between the meeting, in between the session. Not about how excited I got you. I hope I said something that'll move you to make you believe and see that you're possible. But it's the work that you'll do behind the scenes that nobody will ever see. People always ask me all the time, oh, I want to do what you do. How do you do it? How'd you do what you do? Are you willing to do what I did to get it? Most people aren't even willing to do what I've done to get it. So why does it matter what I've done or what I do? Being up here on stage, I always tell people, being up on stage and speaking in front of 10, 15,000 people, that's the easy part. It's the work it takes to get there. The work I do building those presentations. I don't have speech writers. Everything I do is with great intention. I don't want to waste. I know that time is our biggest commodity, the most valuable commodity we have. So if I get your time, if I'm fortunate enough to get your time for an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours in stage, I want to give you real value for that. I don't want to steal your time. And so I got to put together the work before I show up. The work's done before I ever get there. People are like, oh, you're amazing up here. This is nothing. You should have seen what it took the last month when I couldn't take your interview, or the last few months when I was on tour, doing 30 cities straight. That's hard work.
Wow. You had a quote that you said that I want to read it to you. I believe it was in a podcast that you did. It's actually been a while since you've done a formal, like, a podcast.
This is the first one since this is the first one because, my husband died just 2 years ago. So I have been taking the time off to do what I need to do to heal myself. And so, this is it.
And I'm grateful for that, because I think what you have to share, genuinely, I believe you're already impacting millions, but I believe this interview will specifically impact millions and hundreds of thousands of people, because I feel it, I see it, and it's admirable what you've done. But you had a quote, I think, I believe you were mentioning it towards younger people, but you said it's much easier for people to not succeed because most people don't want to put in effort. I think on the flip side, it's been more easier than ever to be successful. Meaning, I want to get your take on this. The level field, the playing field for success is like the barrier entry is like has been lowered so much because nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to have a relentless drive and understand that it's going to take 5-10 years and commit themselves to that and work every single day, knowing that, hey, you might have not got a result yesterday or the day before, and you're not going to get one today, but you're going to keep doing this for the next 5 years because you have the vision. Like, do you think the barrier to entry to be successful
is too low? It's been lowered. I totally agree with you. The playing field's been leveled for some time, and now it just keeps dropping. Most people don't even show up. It's really sad. And I think about it. My friend Natalia and I were talking about it the other day. Most people don't even show up. They don't even show up for themselves. Forget about somebody else. You wonder, like, where are people's standards anymore? Where do they start? Like, in order to make something really extraordinary happen, you could just show up for yourself first. The first thing is showing up. That's hard to get people to do. It's like, if you want to be if you're a plumber, be a great plumber. Show up on time. Be where you're supposed to be. You can be the greatest roofer in the world, but you don't show up, makes you not the greatest roofer in the world. You could be the greatest speaker of all time, but you got to show up. You got to invest time behind the scenes. You want to be the greatest interviewer, podcast out there, then you got to show up. You got to be persistent. You got to get the interviews that people want to hear, and you got to fight for them. All of those things require serving other people. Most people aren't willing to serve themselves, let alone somebody else.
Wow. I like that take. I did it.
It's true.
I that was not what I was expecting, but it was much better than what I had expected
Yeah, I know
because
what you want. I know what you want. I know what you wanted
no, no,
from
no,
me.
no,
You
no.
wanted me to, no,
You
it's
gave me
okay. You
more
want me
than
to come in and I know you like what I gave you, but you expected me to come in with that. The barrier's too low for people to join. That's true. To get involved, to be successful, it's so much easier than ever to become successful. The problem is that the standard's so low. I'm not excited about it for people. I don't think it does anything to help develop them as a person. You know, people raise money. They get, my friend and I were talking about this the other day too. People can get somebody, give them $100 million and just waste it all, do nothing with it. Nothing happens with it. You know what? It doesn't hurt anybody except the people who gave the $100 million or $10 million or $20 million. They have nothing, no skin in the game, really. Where's the skin anymore? Where's the skin that people come in anymore and say, you know what? I'm going to match it. I never invest. Like I have a lot of investments in other companies, other small venture. I have a small venture capital fund that I invest in startup companies. And I always tell people, I don't want to be involved in something unless somebody else has skin in it too. Because unless they have skin in it, there's no win in it for anybody. There's got to be a goal that serves other people. If it doesn't, it will not work.
so you mentioned, like what you just said, everything that you're saying is coming back to serving people. I believe any company that gets to a massive level, whether that's $1 billion, whether that's they're doing $100 million, whether that's they're doing their 8 figures, whatever of that level, it requires some sort of competitive edge. What do you think was the competitive edge of shop.com?
Internet. I mean, the internet back then, of course. But I think now, back in the day, it was the internet because it was like, we were talking about it before everybody else, but now it's very simple. It's people. People have always been our edge. Amazon's the biggest, the best on top of the rest, no question, when it comes to selling product. There's no argument. We all shop from Amazon. Shop.com is more about focusing on what people want when they need it and getting somebody like me, a personal person, to tell them about the product. So I can tell you about anything I sell on shop.com and I can give you that one-to-one exchange on information. Nobody does that anymore. It's very hard to find people behind a website. And nowadays you go online, you have to send an email to get customer service. You have to send an email to get information about a product, not at shop.com. We can get an answer from people instantly. That's what makes us different, and that's what keeps us around for 32 years. It's the people connecting with people. I've always believed that. Listen, somebody gave me, I'm not going to say who, but a very famous person with a very big company showed my friend Natalia, who's actually in the room with me, across from me right now, gave us insight on a tape with Warren Buffett. Remember that, Matt? And it was a tape. And Warren Buffett said one thing, and I've lived this way. My husband, JR, has lived this way for 32 years. The tape said this: there's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot. It's hard to keep up with it, but nothing will replace treating people right. Nothing will replace taking care of your customer. You know what we make sure people do at shop.com? Take care of the customer. And we do it through personalized attention. Everybody has a direct connect to somebody to get that information. And so for us, it's about delivering the best information, getting people the information, delivering faster, making returns easier. Because you can't compete with all the technology out there. You can't compete with Amazon, and I'm not trying to. I like Amazon. I have nothing against it. What we're doing is different. We have specialized products that are our products that people look for, and we help people answer those questions. For me, it's always about people. That's what keeps us different. You can always find somebody to give you the information you need.
I like that. I think that's a universal principle, putting people first, whatever industry that you're in. And I
That's what
really
he was
do.
saying, Warren.
I really do think it's a difference because I've studied, like, I really do take pride in studying, all these different CEOs from amongst every industry, leaders, politicians, and it's always the ones that get to that level, that the unicorn effect, the $1 billion range, the massive success. It's like They said they just genuinely put the people first and they serve them and figure out how this process can better this person's life. Because at the end of the day,
Exactly.
that's what you have to do.
It always has to be about the goal, can't be about money. It's going to be how we're going to serve other people. And you can, by the way, the tape that I heard is no different than tapes I've heard from Warren all over the place. I really look up to him because he talks about that. Talks about, oh, I don't know everything about all that technology. What I know is I know how to take care of people. And that's what's gotten me where I've been my whole life, is taking care of people. And I think he's no different. I'm no different. You'll see that common thread amongst people who are really successful, I think. And there will be 6 people who are successful that haven't done that. I don't know that it'll be long lasting. I don't know that I could say it can be. We've been doing this for 32 years, right? People are like, wow, what's the key for 32 years? Keep doing the right thing. Keep doing the right thing with people. You can't lose. If you treat people well and people trust you and you've built a rapport and a level of respect, you can't lose.
You can't lose. I like that. So let me ask you,
You know?
there's different levels to a business and to entrepreneurship. There's the 10 to 20K a month, and that's when you feel like that's when you feel, from my perspective, that's when you feel the, oh, okay, this is kind of like cool. You're making some money, and then there's like the 50 to 100K. Now you're getting to that 7-figure yearly. Now you're getting to an 8-figure. Then you get to the 9-figure. And very few people get to $1 billion. Like that's just like, that's the outcast. That's the outcast on the
Yeah.
you. What do you think is it that took you from 7 to 8 to 9 to $1 billion?
The hard work comes in between that, the momentum. So in order to get, I remember very clearly when we hit $1 million in our company. We just had this conversation the other day. When we hit $1 million a few years after we started, JR was very quick to remind us that, number one, we're not spending any money. We're going to invest in ourselves. He didn't believe in investing in other companies, other people, other ventures. He was like, we're going to invest in ourselves. That meant investing in the business. Number two, that meant not stopping. In order to go from 1 to 10 million, you can't stop. Remember, when you get momentum, you have to push harder. What happens is most people get settled and fine with just hitting their numbers. For some people, it's okay to make, if they make $5,000 a month, that's their goal. That's okay. If that's their goal and that's all they care about doing, then fantastic. That's just not my goal. It's not about numbers for me with money. It's more about how many people can we help while we're still here. And I think that's where people are different. See, I've had to come to grips with the fact, and you may have to do this too. You will have to come to grips with the fact that some people's goals are different. They don't care about, they see it as, okay, well, $10,000 is what I want. That's what my goal is. If that's their goal and they hit it, fantastic. For me, in order for us to get, it wasn't about just, taking the million to 10 million, 10 million to 100 million, 100 million, 100 million to 200 million, 200 million to 500 million. Whoa, the push, the work, that's where all the hard work was. The hard work was really working in between the scenes. It doesn't come naturally. People are like, oh, well, it's so much easier. We can sit back now and hope it'll happen. No, that's where the big gaps were. The work had to really be done then. How can I help more people? What can I do to improve the technology? How can I make people's lives easier? How can we make returns faster? How do we make sure we're providing the best customer service? How do we make sure we have the right people speaking to our people, to customers? It was more about looking at elevating average. There's a lot of average people in this world. That's okay. It's just not okay for me. Not for me to get where I need to go to help other people. I want to work with people who want to be above average.
Yeah.
I want to work with people who think more of themselves. And because they think more of themselves, then they're above average. I don't need to analyze people. If somebody's above average, you'll know it. It's like your belief in yourself. Knowing I love when you wrote me the email, like, I'm not going to stop till I get this interview. I really want to do this. I know I don't want to come off pestering you. I was like, there's no pestering. I liked what you did. I was going to give you it no matter what. It was just finding the time.
Yeah.
That's what makes a winner. That's what makes somebody win. Somebody who won't quit when it gets harder. And she said no 5 times, 6 times, 10 times. And he keeps asking anyway. That's the hard work most people won't do. It takes the same amount of hard work to go from 1 to 10 million, 10 million to 100, 100 to 500, 500 to a billion. It's hard work. Here's why. Anybody who says no twice to somebody, most people, 99.9% of the people are never going to go back and ask again. What did Jacob do? He asked 10 more times. That's the difference. You proved it to me in the email. That's the key to success. That's the answer to all the questions. It's doing more than other people aren't willing to do. That other people are just not willing to do. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. And that's why we're having this conversation. It's true, right? Wouldn't you agree?
No, I really do. I take it to heart because, as you can imagine, you're not the only person that I'm like persisting on because,
of
like
course,
you said, when the why is bigger than you, when the why is bigger than the money, that's what pushes you. Because I knew this had nothing to do with me. This had nothing to do with, like this is the most fulfillment and joy that I have in my life, like being able to talk to successful people like yourself. But it's more so you have such valuable information and gems that I know could impact people my age everywhere in the world. So that's what pushes me. And I think anybody that is watching, there has to be a bigger why. And I wrote down 3 words in specific because I know there's a lot of people that are like, what's the secret? What's the secret? The secret is hard work. But I also wrote down 3 things I want to get your take on, which is key hires, delegation, and innovation. So what's the role of them to getting to the next, from the 7 to 8 to the 9 to the billion? Meaning the delegation, is that what gets you from the 7 to 8? Is the innovation what gets you from the 9 to?
No, it's not. I mean, all of that has to be a part of it. It's part of the puzzle, right? It's a puzzle. It's complicated. Lots of pieces have to fit together, right? It's fitting it all together. But you can have the innovation, and you're right about where you're going. You can have innovation, you can have innovation that's really solid, but you can have people who are really average and they'll never connect. They'll never connect. It's really about having people who will find a solution, who will be solution oriented with you, who won't stop, who won't take no for an answer. Because you can have the greatest people in the world, and then the innovation is not working out. And those people who are great thinkers, great people, will find a way to solve this. They will find a way for it to come together and work in the very best possible way. But you give somebody who's average, who's not thinking above what can be thought through them, you'll never get it done. You'll never get where you want to go. And it's even my new goal this year is to really elevate people around me, because I can't get where I want to go with people who just think average, because average is real easy. It's like, okay, I want to find somebody who can do X, Y, Z. They're like, well, that's never been done. Can't do it. Okay, it can be done. How are we going to get it done? And you realize you fight and having these meetings over and over again, and you don't get anywhere. Why can't you get anywhere? Because you're talking to a bunch of people who are blocked. You're talking to a bunch of people, the same people who 2 weeks ago told you it's never been done and can't be done. They don't know how to stretch past that. In order to be really successful, you have to stretch. You have to be a really good stretcher.
Wow.
You got to stretch every part of you. Your thoughts, your mind, your consciousness, your intention, your body. You got to do it all. You got to stretch, and you will not find people like you all the time working around you. So we get frustrated. So we end up getting mad. Half my days I find sometimes I'm like, I'm so frustrated because of what I have is sometimes average. Instead of that person who says, oh my God, let me help you solve this. This is going to be so fun. Those are the people you're looking out for. Those are the ones that you want to start a whole new venture with. Those are the ones you want to run a company with. Those are your winners. Those are your executives later, your leaders later. Because they're like, oh, I get the vision. See, one of the great things about my husband is he was so great. Instead of just telling people what to do, he'd tell them why to do it, why he wanted them to do it. And I've gotten really good about trying to explain to people why I need to do it this way, why I want you to buy into the vision. Because maybe if I can sell you into the vision and you buy into what I see, you'll do it. And you won't come in here with, I can't do this. But if you can't change that and change your mindset instead of, and I'm victim of this, I mean, guilty of this too, is we spend so much time sometimes saying, oh, well, you should do it this way. And here's why. And they're not buying it. And because they can't think as big as you, because they're not you. They're not as unique as you. They're not as different as you. It's not made for them. It's for you. It's not about them. It's about you. You're the different one. You're the unique one. It's funny. My friend sent me the article. I'm sure you saw this yesterday. It was everywhere. The Founder's Mode by Brian Chesky. If you haven't seen it, take time when you get off this and read it. It's how I'm operating right now. It's everything I'm talking about. It's about raising the bar, elevating that you're in charge. You're the founder. Nobody will be able to do it like you. Nobody will ever do it as good as you, Jacob. Doesn't matter who you bring in. It's always going to rely on you. It's always you who will move the needle. When it requires moving the needle, you can't rely on managers to do it. You've got to do it yourself, and you lead the way for people to become leaders. You lead the way for people to become executives and leaders and to set the pace, the bar for themselves, if you will. You know what I'm saying? But we rely so much and we get frustrated with people, and then we're like, well, why can't they do this? Because they're not made like you. They're different.
You're the one that needs to move the needle.
You got to move the needle.
I think that applies to anybody that is watching. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, whatever you do, whether you're a student, you want to go into a career, you have to move the needle. I'm going to read that by Brian Chesky. I've actually watched a lot of his interviews. He's definitely somebody I would love to interview someday.
He's very unique. He's very unique. He's been on my boat a few times. He's a wonderful human being. And you know, he's brilliant and he's smart and he's quiet. And then when he speaks, he reminds me a lot of my husband. When he speaks, he's got something to say. You better listen. And this whole founders thing called Founders Mode that he talked about yesterday was like, oh my God, that's what I've been doing. And I felt validated in some way, even though I was going to do it anyway. It was like I wasn't the only one thinking that way. And I think it's really important because we get frustrated. It's like, I'm tired of waiting for everyone to catch up with me. I've got to remember that my thoughts are mine. Yeah. And it's okay if they're not somebody else's. And we can build a great team around people who have the same vision, the same belief, and believe they can do it. But you can't with people who don't. You just can't.
Well, I like that. I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna actually link it in the description because I'm assuming people would want to read that too. I wanted to ask you this question because I don't know who this is for, but I felt it in my heart that your husband unfortunately passed away. And, when you said it there at FIU, I think everybody in the room really like you heard a pin, how do you say it? Like the expression, a peg could drop.
Yeah, the pin drops. You could hear it in the room.
Because
it's life-changing.
I wanted to ask you, I mean, how do you keep moving forward? Like, how do you keep speaking?
It's been the hardest, I would say the hardest. It's funny because you really got the interview, the only one who ever got this. And so many people have asked, but it's the hardest 24 months of my life. I've been married for, and with this guy for 36 years. He's been my whole life. Somebody who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, or I was unsure. I didn't know. I was 18, as I said. And he didn't have anything. He didn't have any money. He didn't have anything to offer, but he had this hope for who we could be and this vision of what the future looked like. And I watched him over these years together change so many people's lives that I didn't even realize how much he changed my own. I didn't realize that while he was instilling belief in others, he was actually doing the same for me. Like those lessons I told you about him making me get up and speak and getting in the car and not just driving, but get up and do it again at the next city. And you're a great speaker, even when I was horrible. I didn't remember those as lessons until he was gone. And so we often take for granted of what we have in front of us all the time. And so I'm trying to be more conscious of time and people, life and love. And I've had to do it the very hard way of losing somebody that, nobody even really knows this, to be honest with you. Jared and I were on the vacation of a lifetime. We were going away for the first time alone after 32 years and going to take some time off from the day to day. We'd worked enough. We've done enough. Jared was 18 years older than me. He wanted to quiet down a little bit. He wanted to still show up for our big events, but he wanted to take some time for he and I to enjoy the life we had built, but not had so much experience doing all the things that we wanted to do. We had a great life living the dash, doing the things that we wanted to do, but there was more on our list. And so he was like, it's time, Loren. We just celebrated our 30th convention. We went to Ben and Jennifer's wedding. Took our grandkid to Star Wars and Disney World for his birthday. And then we were like, let's go get a charter yacht in Croatia, get on a plane, go to this yacht and sail away for whatever, and just go spend 6 weeks doing what we want to do for the first time in our lives. And, I lost him in a moment, just after the vaccine. He got the booster and he died instantly 4 weeks later of a blood clot. No notice, no chance, didn't know he had it, wouldn't have been able to probably do anything about it, out at sea on this yacht, trying to for the first time in our life, enjoy our life. So I often, I've been writing a book and it comes out February 11th called Scrambled or Sunny Side Up.
Oh, wow. What I'd love to do,
And
sorry to cut you off.
it's on Amazon for pre-sale. We already hit Amazon bestseller already, and we hit Barnes and Noble's bestseller, Barnes and Noble's top 100. It was number 5. It was also, I believe, made it to number 1 on the list for love and self-help. But it's a book. It's called Scrambled or Sunny Side Up. And every day my husband for 36 years would ask me like, hey, should I have my eggs scrambled or sunny side up? And, in the beginning days, I used to love that. I used to say, oh, you should have a scrambled today or sunny side up. Every day I'd say something different. But after a while, after 36 years, somebody asks you the same thing over and over again. You start to say to yourself, well, I don't know. How do you want your eggs? What do you want? What are you in the mood for? You get frustrated. You're busy. You don't have time to answer anymore. When really the very thing that you fell in love with him for, that he cared about your opinion, now you're rushing him through the day and going, well, why am I answering this question for you? Why don't you answer for yourself? For God's sakes, don't you know what you want? And, I would do anything for him to ask me that again. All the times that he asked me, the answer's sunny side up. And so I think for me, it's about how to turn everything in grief gets turned around and scrambled. And you have to find a way to turn it sunny side up again. You have to find a way out through the grief. And the only way to do it is to acknowledge your pain. I think the difference between depression and grief are really close, but the difference is really different. In grief, you feel everything. In depression, oftentimes we have doctors prescribe us things so we don't feel it. You can't avoid feeling grief, loss. And so you feel it and you go through it and you work through it. And I've tried to find a way to be the best version of me, knowing that I will never be him and I have big shoes to fill, but he would never want me to feel that way. He would want me to keep doing what I've been doing, which is show up as me. And that's what I've been doing.
Well, I want to personally say thank you, and thank you to the behalf of everybody watching, because I asked that because, I'm young. I'm 19. I haven't experienced death yet, and I don't look forward to it. But
I hope you don't have to for a long time.
Yeah, and it's a part of life, but I also don't know who is watching this. I don't know who's watching this and what has happened in their life. And for you to, openly share it, and, with your new book coming out and everything, I truly do believe there's one person on the end of this camera that is watching, and like they feel the sense of, oh, I'm not alone. oh, okay, so this isn't just me that's going through this. And that's why I asked that question. So, no, I
I'm
really,
glad you asked it, and it's an important one, and I think it's important for people to give themselves grace when they're going through grief, and to find peace with themselves on however they deal with it, and to build a strong tribe around them that helps them get through it. It's the only way.
awesome. Lauren, seriously, I really appreciate your time. I loved your answers. I can't express how much I love them, but I really, really did enjoy. I took a lot of notes. I wish you could see my notebook, but I took a lot of notes. And what I'm gonna do is that for anybody that is watching, I'm gonna link your pre-sale. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. What else is it on?
I'll send you the links. It's on
Okay,
shop.com also, of course.
okay. Send me all the links. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put all the links in the link in the description. That way you guys can have the opportunity to get in the pre-sale because for February 11th, I'm very excited for this. I'm gonna read it. I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
buy
love it.
literally right
It's
away.
actually as a great. It's not a book about grief. It's a book about life. It's a book about the things that you need to do to show up for you. It's about the lessons that you're missing along the way. The little voices inside your head that you put past you and you don't think anything of them. It's about that. It's about grasping those moments for you right now and doing something for you right now. That's what it's really about.
Yeah, I'm gonna. What I want to offer, I don't know if how we're gonna make this happen. I don't know how we're gonna make this happen, but I'm gonna order personally 25 books for whoever's watching this. I'm gonna pre-sell it, so I'm gonna get 25 books for you guys that are watching. I don't know how I'm gonna put this together, but I'm gonna figure it out because I just got this idea. We're
And
gonna
we
do it
will. We'll sign them all. We'll sign them all.
even
We'll
better.
sign
Let's
them
do that.
all, and maybe what we'll do is we'll do like a little Zoom session for all those people who end up. Maybe you do a giveaway, and we'll do a Zoom session with everybody on it.
Let's do that. I'm gonna
Q
do
and
that.
A.
Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna actually tell people to pitch in if they want to get more books because I really want people to read this because I believe in your story. I believe in the value that you have. So like I said, I'm gonna figure out a
And
way.
we
I don't
could
know how
do,
right now.
yeah, figure out, we'll
I'm
help
gonna
you
figure
do
it
it.
out.
Like maybe, well, I'll get you some type of deal where you can get these books. And
Uh-huh.
don't worry about that. I'm not worried about that. We'll get you the books. And then for the viewers, we get them to do some type of challenge that you give them. And then they get to win a Zoom call with you and I, where they
Yeah,
can
yeah.
ask all the Q&A they want.
Yeah, I'll definitely, I'm gonna definitely brainstorm about that. But
Let's
like I said,
brainstorm on it.
yes, 100%. But anybody that is watching right now, go in the link in the description, get the pre-sale. Not only that, I'm gonna link the description to all your social medias, all your interviews, everything,
Thank
so
you,
where you can
honey.
check more out about you because I think your story is one that everybody should really attentively listen to and study and sit on and marinate. I truly do believe so. But seriously, thank you for your time. Thank you for all
Thank
your
you, sweetie.
insights.
Have a great day. Go make it happen.
Thank you so much. Anything that
I
you
love your
wanna
persistency. I'll be
thank
back in
you.
a few weeks in Miami, so we'll get together.
100%. Anything that you want to leave off for the viewers before they click away?
No, I think it's just like I think they should really pay attention to what you're doing because you're getting it together. You got it going right. You're the one. The reason I'm on here today is because of you. Your persistence, your drive, your passion. That's what it's about. Anybody can be a Jacob, but not everybody will be. Anybody can be Lauren, but not everybody will be. It really depends on what they want. And, the reason why you and I are both on the phone is both of us were persistent about making this happen. So we did
100%.
it. We
We did it,
finished
and
it.
it
We
was
got it.
I this was one of the most enjoyable experiences. I hope it won't. What I really would love to do. This is off camera. I'll stop the recording here. But what I really love to do is I know if it's going to be February 11th or whatever time that you're in Miami, we can figure out something because I really really want to push this out as much as possible.
I
Like I
love
said,
that. Well,
the 20.
I'm back October 15th for the
Okay.
season. I'll be there
Okay.
for the whole season. And the book launches February 11th. Serena Williams wrote the foreword.
Okay.
Um, and so, yeah, we'll do something great. I'll give you the 25 books. I'm not worried about
Okay.
that.
No, but I want to.
Let's,
Because I really like I want to do something like special. I'm putting 25, but I want to like if it's I have a
you
bunch of
think of it.
sponsors.
You tell me what it is and we'll
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
something together. I can do
If
a
we can
little
give
book.
as exactly like I really like I from the bottom of my heart I haven't even read it. I don't know what it's about, but I'm excited for it, and I just want to
You're going to
push
love
out.
it.
So definitely let's
I'll make
whatever
sure
you.
you get some advanced copies. As soon as I get them, you'll be one.
Seriously, thank you so much. I'm excited for the
You're
future.
welcome, honey. Me too, sweetie. Thank you, honey.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care. You too,
Bye.
honey. Bye bye.